And alright, that was nice and quick. Alright, we are all set up and ready to go. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Where we last left off, we were trying to make a Ficsite Trigon setup, but in order to do that, we needed aluminum, and these belts should be full, which means we're not producing enough aluminum, which means we're not going to have enough to do anything useful with it. So we're going to need to drop down to here and figure out how to make that not a thing. So this is going to be, you know, day a billion of messing with aluminum production, in most likelihood. So up here we've got this thing which occasionally makes water and is probably the only reason the entire system isn't completely jammed. So let's first we need to recap where the water is flowing to. So these three machines here are 180 plus 210 plus 210, which is 600. And that 600 water is flowing along this pipe back to here. Okay. And the reason it's not working is because this one has too much alumina solution. So, why do we have too much alumina solution in these? The answer is because these ones have too much water. Specifically this one. This one's doing fine on water, actually. That's 96%. This is only 19%. So where is your water going? You are also doing that same thing, where your water goes along to this, through here and into these two machines, which have too much alumina solution. And actually, specifically this one's mostly fine, but this one has too much alumina solution because this one isn't running because it has too much water. Alright, then these ones have too much water because this is another belt of 600, which goes up to these two machines, which are also in the 40% range because of alumina solution. So if we then go forwards to this, then this one specifically, this one is fine apparently, but this one has too much water output. So where does your water go? Your water goes up here and combines with you, and both of these are super bad in terms of water. But let's see, they should be 240 plus 240. So this should be 480 going along this way. And then this is another 240, which is meeting up to here. And theoretically, this one should be sending like 120 this way and 120 this way. And that is definitely not what's happening. But even if it were, let's see here. This side isn't running at all. So why are you not running? This water goes forward to here, which has the same old problem. Too much alumina solution, not enough output. And this is all just water outputs here. Actually, both of these are messed up, despite going into two different sets. So this goes into this set back here. And it's got the same problem. And then we go forwards, and there's too much water. And these two go into two separate sets, which surely these ones will be functional. Alright, these ones are functional. So it's like specifically these two? No, it's specifically this one, actually. Which is having the output problem. And yeah, so that is the same problem that we've had looping around. Now, I don't know how to solve this, because everything looks like the numbers should line up. The only place where the numbers might conceivably not line up is here, because here we're relying on the pipes to split evenly. Everywhere else, there's no need for that. So, how do we make this work properly then? So this is a machine which outputs 240 water per minute. I could, I guess, squeeze an extra machine in here and have the two machines do 120 each, and then that would be pre-split. But I don't know if that is the right approach. I don't know. Let's see. So we might as well try, right? So we are going to take some pipes out to clear some space. Fortunately, we left enough space for an extra machine in here. So that goes into there. Now this, we need to get the petroleum coke split properly now, and the petroleum coke here wasn't aligned properly anyways, so it'll be fine, but you just go like that and like that. I don't know how fast these belts need to be. We'll make the Mark III. So this outputs 240 water per minute. We need this to be that divided by 2. And can we get this to be 120.0? Okay, let's just figure that out. So this is at 100% is 105. So we need this to be 120 over 105 times 100. Not 12 over 105, 120. Alright, so we get that. Copy, paste. Alright. And then we need to get the alumina solution into here as well. Like so. And then this needs to merge its scrap up to that. So you go like that. And then you need to merge up to there. And then forwards to that. So that's the scrap done. This needs to be powered, so let's just find a power pole somewhere. There we go. Alright. So, now the water outputs. There's a couple things we need to fix. So first of all, we need to take this pipe and run it back to here, where it's supposed to be connected. Then we have, instead of this going up and splitting into those two, instead we're going to chop most of this stuff off. So you go directly into that, and then you come up here and into that. And now there should be absolutely no room for splitting to cause things to go wrong. And these are all up and running now. And let's get the flashlight on so that I can see in the dark. So with that done, now we just need to get this whole system up and running again. So if we clear out some of the excess water from here, then hopefully that will just cause it to work. If we just run through this, take out all of the giant puddles of water, like so, just drag it all out so that hopefully things go back to running at an appropriate rate. Okay, we can get some of that stuff out as well. And now we're back up to this line here. All of this water has to go out. And hopefully that'll do it. I wonder if we need this to be connected up to something different. So this sort of output valve is just connected up to this one thing. Like we have the water from this fluid buffer goes down there, and then if it's overclocked, then if it's overfull, then it goes up to here. So that helps this one segment, but not the entire thing to stay unstuck. So I wonder if we need that sort of system over on this side. Because, I mean, these guys are all full of water again, just instantly. So, let's see if we can do that actually. Do we have anything in here on this side that can be combined with water? We should be able to find the petroleum coke, right? Where is the petroleum coke? Or where is it? The polymer resin is what we're looking for. Alright, so if we just pop a splitter onto this belt and bring it around to here, and it just sort of goes around and continues going around. So now we have the water, which we need this to go up a bit and get some space lined up here. So there we go, production, refinery, and we bring this up and in. Then we can bring the water up here and in. Call this residual rubber, and power you up. And then we just need to get a sink in for this. So let's get the extra space, and we get an awesome sink. And then the awesome sink gets powered up as well. So now, if this pipe here ever gets overfilled, we should be able to stop that from happening. And, I mean, these machines are going. I mean, they're basically just feeding into themselves right now. So those machines are going strong, and then it's just a question of all of this central stuff. Which I don't want to just have things going. How's your day going? My day is going pretty good. Just started up the game, and we are trying to figure out how to fix this whole mess with aluminum. And hopefully we get it successful this time. And the hope is that I've fixed the ultimate source of the problem, and now if I run through like this and just clear out all the extra water, then hopefully that'll cause it to work. Okay, now these ones don't have enough alumina solution because they're not getting enough water. These guys are the ones that get fresh water from here, aren't they? These should all be 600 a minute. Yeah, so that's a little bit suspicious. But I guess probably fine. Is this going down? I feel like that's going down over time. This is eventually gonna stop working. I don't know, maybe it's fine. Check here, that's still showing 600 a minute. Okay, this one is hovering up at big numbers. And this is actually... it looks like it might still be functional. Hopefully. But of course, all this stuff over here is not having a good time. So, if we just take the water out of that, and then take the water out of it again, and again, I guess? Like, how much water do you think we need to take out before one singular machine starts working? Because theoretically, this should be doing something. Like, we just keep doing this, and the amount of water in the system will deplete until it's running at a stable rate. Alright, let's take out one more set and see if that does it. Alright, not quite. So this is making the alumina solution, but the alumina solution isn't going out. Okay, I wonder if the one that we need to fix is we just need to go all the way back to here, because these two are mostly fed by themselves and this one. And it's sort of at the end of the chain, almost. And they do actually seem to be running better now. So that's somewhat promising. Somewhat promising. Hopefully this overflow system has worked some. This... okay, that still isn't at any percentage of water. It's just taking some of the polymer resin and doing nothing with it. But somehow this does seem to be working. I mean, the amount of water going into these machines is solid, and they're running around the clock without issue. So, is the same true for these ones here? No. Okay, so this row is the third row which does all that stuff. So if we drain you of water, then that might get us going a little bit better, hopefully. So we just keep doing this. Alright, now it might be better. I guess we'll have to see. I wonder if we need to just get the entire thing shut off. That actually might be worth trying. So when in doubt, turn it off and back on again. So if we go back to here, we have 3 pipes of fresh water going to these 3 rows. Now if I just turn these 3 rows of machines off. So that one, and this one. So now, theoretically, we have no fresh water going into the system at all, because it's all coming in through those pipes, which means that the rest of this should drain, and then, once it's drained, we can turn it back on, and then hopefully it'll be functional from that stage. There is just like a lot of water just floating in the system. There's a little bit in this, but mostly it's just sort of around in various places, built up in like alumina solution and that sort of stuff. So if we just let this sit for a minute, it should entirely turn off. So let's see, for example, this pipe here. So this fluid buffer is draining, which once that hits 0, these machines should stop running entirely. And then we'll have no aluminum production, which is fine because it's not used for anything urgent really. It's kind of incredible how long this leftover water can last. Just like that is finally finished. This one still has a couple more cycles before it gets rid of all of its alumina solution. It somehow filled up more again. Yeah, where are you getting that extra alumina solution from? This one is getting new water because of the weird cycling stuff. Okay, but it is slowly trickling through. Like, most of these guys are stopped most of the time now. So this still is just barely emptying out its water. We've still got a ton of water in all of those pipes. And this one. So that water goes forwards to here and then down this way. Gosh, what? That's such a complicated path. So you still, after all of that, have excess water, excess alumina solution. And you aren't producing because this has excess water. How is this all happening? So these ones are still draining the water out. And this seems to have never run. But these are still going and draining water out of the system. So we're just going to have to wait for it to get fully emptied. And then hopefully that'll do the trick. So these ones up here should be emptied by now, right? Yeah, very much so. These ones over here still have excess water, which is insane. But it should be mostly cleared out now. There's just a couple. Alright, this one is in the last one of the second main road. Is it feeding into itself directly? So this pipe comes back around to here. Yes, it is. Alright, is that a problem? That might be a problem. Although it's also feeding this. So that same supply of alumina solution is also going into this one, which feeds back this way to here. And then this one goes forwards to here, which then part of that is going to loop around into itself again. But part of it is going to go through here. And these ones can't get jammed because they have this. So, theoretically, we should be getting there. And I think the problem might have been that we just had so much excess in the system that even when it was technically built correctly, that it just didn't unjam no matter what I did, basically. And it stayed in that sort of half-jammed position for ages. Alright, so this is now going. So it's just run a bunch of cycles, which means it's going to draw water. And we're almost there. Why is that 411 point something? Alright, because that's how you get 240 water out. The numbers are all weird and messed up, but they should be fine. Alright, so this is going. Still occasionally stockpiling water, but it is draining some now. Alright. Please say we're almost there. Please say we are almost there. So it's going. It's outputting. And for some reason it's not able to fully empty out its aluminum scrap. I wonder why that is. Probably nothing too extreme. But yeah, that's 685. This should be 780, so it should be enough, unless I don't know. I don't know why that's happening. I also cannot fathom how there is so much excess water in this system that we're still going with no signs of stopping. At least it is running, though, which is a huge improvement over when it was just sitting here doing nothing. Alright, is there some, like, limiting factor on this belt? Like, this should go. I mean, it is going forwards as a Mark 6 belt the whole way. There's plenty of slack on it. And yet, somehow this. Alright, let's just make you a Mark 6 belt then. You as well. And hopefully that'll do, because this is building up aluminum scrap for some weird reason. I don't know why that's happening. And it still is, even with all that. Okay. So all of this, the aluminum scrap is going around. And okay, the top floor of this was for the other half, so that's fine. So I guess okay, no, it has depleted of aluminum scrap now. So I don't know what all that was about, but it's done now. And now we just have all this extra alumina solution which needs to clear out. There's just such an insane amount of it. But it is getting there. It's not completely saturated at all times anymore, which is good. So as this cycles around, it's not 100% efficient on the loop between alumina and water. So we will eventually drain all the alumina solution out of this. And these ones won't have enough water to start running at some point. Although it is still going. Still going. Alright. There's just so much. And it's so, like, almost efficient, right? So this is 300 water to 360 alumina solution to, like, 200-ish water. So in total we have 720 alumina solution, which is making 360 water. Is that right? No, that's wrong, right? So this is 240 plus 180, which is 420 water. Yeah, so that's 420 water out. This is 300 water in. So it is eventually going to run out once it loops enough times. And it seems like we're almost there. It's frequently yellow at this point. Now this pipe up here still apparently has water in it as well. But that is not... Okay, that is this whole thing that I was just looking at. That's just the pipe that goes into this. Okay, these ones also have some water in these pipes, which means they theoretically should be running occasionally. I don't know why they're not, actually. I don't know, maybe I've just been missing it. Maybe I've just been missing it. That is entirely possible. Alright, at this point I think we're basically mostly done. We might get like one more cycle out of this, but it shouldn't be much. There we go. Alright, I think at this point that is all sorted. So we have absolutely brought this down to a drained state. Even if this is technically still going a little bit, it has not got that much left. So, now that it's all been drained, we can go back to the start and turn it back on again. And now there should be less excess water in the system. So we should be fine then. So now there isn't any excess water in the system, so when it boots up, the loops should be perfect and it should all work out. I wonder if we need fluid buffers on all of the lines, just in case, like, this runs every 1.7 seconds, this runs every 2 seconds. I don't know, like, maybe there's something with that. Maybe there's something with, like, making sure that things line up properly. I don't know, though. Alright, so it's starting back up again. We've got our aluminum going out. And it's just got to filter all the way through. And if I've done the math correctly, there should be simply no way that this can go wrong. Like, all of the pipes are limited. They're not splitting any more than you would expect them to. So it should be okay. And if not, we're going to have to probably try the buffers and see if putting buffers on these works. If it doesn't work, it'll be annoying, but hopefully it does. Alright, so these guys are still getting their first batches of water in. So that is going to take some time to trickle through. But once it's all started up, it should get flying. So these ones are some of the ones that mostly feed into themselves, which means that it's going to be a bit more difficult for them to get water as compared to the other ones. So they're going to have to get water in through this one, which is fed separately. But it is producing water. So we should be getting there. It should be just a matter of time until it all warms back up. Right. How's this going? You are now producing alumina solution. You're producing your scrap at what looks to be 100% now. And this one should theoretically be going occasionally now. It's getting water back from here, which is definitely going. So yes, this is producing alumina solution. Looks like the splitter is favoriting that side for whatever reason. But that will only last for a certain amount of time. So now this is still doing nothing. It looks like everything has mostly started up correctly except this last row, which is getting there. Alright, there is more water. So we're going to have to see if this last row even can get set up properly. It should be able to. It should get there eventually. Like that is going, and it is starting up, it seems. Although I see some yellow flickers in here, but that's because of a shortage of input, not too much output, which is fine, obviously. So now this continues to pump water into the final row. Now this goes again, gets alumina solution into here. And it is all warming up. Alright. So that's mostly warmed up. But we are already seeing some yellow flickering back here. It's tough to say why. It looks fine at first glance. Might just be lingering, occasionally not quite getting enough water. Alright, yeah, so this is all doing its thing. And that is what it is. Alright, so let's just hope that this works. I am going to stick around and continue to investigate it, because we do need this to be fully functional. And ideally to not start having clogs. For the extreme short term, it seems to be getting there. And I haven't seen overfilled water outputs yet, although... Okay, no, that is doing its thing properly. I am somehow seeing overfilling aluminum scrap. Is that, like, part of the problem? Because that shouldn't be getting up to 270 some. I don't know why it is. Are they all like that? The last one on the edge? Yeah. Okay. So let's make sure that that isn't a problem, because that might actually be, like, in some part, the source of the issue. So we run along to all of these and get those in. And hopefully that does the trick. And then all of this can go. It should be solid round the clock. Okay, so I think what's happened is like a weirdness with the merging. That's gotta be it. Which I don't know why that's happening, but apparently just having faster belts does the trick. Mark 5s should theoretically be 780 and this is 685. So I don't really understand why that is an issue, but it seems to be one. Now if we just take those out, this is consistently able to empty its full inventory every cycle. And it can do that with the water as well, it looks like. Alright, then we go over to here, do the same thing. I wonder if that was the problem. I still don't fully understand what would cause that to happen. But it could very well be what happened. Alright, but it looks like we have things under control now on that front. Now, are there any excess water spots? So these are all able to drain out all of their water. This one is. It's just a little bit inconsistent about when. This one, though, is pretty clearly not doing well. So this, I can't tell if this water is going up or down, but it's definitely not. Let's see. So if I just empty you, then you are able to do that. So what if I also empty you? Alright, that looks fine though, is the thing. God, I wish this was less complicated. So I could have designed this so that the loops are so that these blocks here are mostly self-contained. Like they each have their independent freshwater inputs and recycles. I decided not to do that, but I think it would be a lot simpler if I had done it that way. Okay, why are these ones are occasionally idle because of not enough alumina solution, which I guess is just a consequence of them being the last ones to go. So they should be fine with that. Okay, now this one is yellow. Why are you yellow? Not enough alumina solution. Alright, that's a fine problem to have, in theory. But why do you have it? Because this isn't enough water. Yeah, I wonder. I hope we don't need to completely redo this. We might need to completely redo this, but I'm still going to be optimistic that it's not necessary. I mean, certainly it looks better at this exact moment, but if something is going wrong, it's hard to spot it. It's not a lack of bauxite, right? I think that may have been a problem at some point in the past. We spent a lot of last stream upgrading our bauxite supply, and all the boxes are almost entirely filled, and we have a constant supply of fresh stuff going in. So that isn't the issue. This isn't making enough petroleum coke. Why is that? Is it because these ones aren't running fully? That could be it. But it's not like they're overflowing with water, which is good. I see a yellow down there. We're gonna follow up and see what was happening with it. Alright, you have too much water. Oh boy. Why do you have too much water? So you output into this, which loops back down to here, and then across into this row. And these two seem to just be doing their thing. Let's just put you on standby for a little bit so that the pipes can fill up, maybe? Although I don't know if having the pipes fill up is even what we want. But if we just do that... Alright. Did that somehow magically fix it? I mean, you don't have a huge amount of excess water at the moment. Yeah, you look fine. Now what's wrong with you? Not enough alumina solution. Because I briefly flickered this off, right? That's fine. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. If this works, we're just gonna move on temporarily. Come back. We're gonna work on getting the reanimated Sam set up. And if we come back and this still isn't functional, we're just going to tear it out and start from scratch with a smaller, more self-contained design. Which I really hope that isn't what we end up doing, because it would suck and it would be a lot of extra work. But if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. So now let's start dealing with the Sam. So we need a lot of SAM. We need like 1,000 some. So we are going to need to set up a bunch of train stops to pick it all up. So one is going to be like right out here. And actually, if we put it here, it could be equidistant between these two and get both of them in the same area. Which, I guess, let's do that. So, we set that up. We put the rail blueprint in, and now we have to make our T-junction, which will all go across like this. Alright, now we get you to be a path signal, you to be a path signal, you to be a path signal, block signal there, and we're all good. Alright, so now we just need to get in the space where we're going to be putting the actual station. Sorry about that. Had a bad sneeze. Alright, so then this can just go back like that. And now we go get a station. So the station is gonna be back a little bit. Give space for that to get around. And so this is Sam West. Because we are in the west and we're getting Sam. So now that can go around that way. And now we get freight platforms in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably extreme overkill for what we're doing, but whatever. Alright, so now we just sort of get that in. And this goes something like that. And then we just have to sort of loop it around. Just have to loop it around. And something like that ought to work. And then that connects through to there. Alright, so now we get a block signal like that. And am I dumb? This is supposed to be... That's all wrong. Alright, so we need that to be a block signal, that to be a path signal. Now it's functional. Alright, we got there. So now all that is in, we just need to figure out what exactly we're doing here. So this is a normal, which is 600, plus an impure, which is 300, so it's 900 total. So, let's see here. We don't need to have buffer chests here directly into the station. We can just have a buffer chest beyond the station. So, we get a 1 to 5 balancer in, and then we just connect these guys into the inputs. So all of those are set up, and then we're going to have a buffer chest back here, which is industrial storage, like that. And so this will be 900 going in, 1200 going out, so it will be able to drain the buffer chest as long as it isn't like constantly being visited, basically. So this, then we get that. And now we just have to go down and get the 2 SAM nodes connected up. So let's drop down underneath this and get our lift going. And how far down are we going to be able to get this lift? Just like from here. We should be able to then drop down to these power poles and bring it the rest of the way. So this then goes down to here. And we're at approximately ground level. So the first SAM node is due south of me. Let's swap to jetpack. And make sure to bring a power line with me. We are going to need it. Alright, there it is. That's nice and close. Let's just pop the power line next to the node. And we drop down. And now we can get this all set up. So production, miner mark 3. And you get max overclocked and powered. Alright, so now this just needs to go back up. And where was our belt? It was over there. Please say we can make this. There we go. Perfect. So now this just sort of goes along this way, gets properly up onto here. It's going to go forwards a little bit. And then we're going to get a merger in. And boom. Alright, so that is one SAM supply done. Now we need to go way up to the north to get the other one. And apparently all the large power poles around here are fully occupied. But we do have more large power poles heading down this way, so it should be fine. Yeah, we actually just have power all over the dang place out here. So, how much further do we need to go? It's going to be by that pillar up there. So we have a power pole on top of that pillar, so we should just be able to run over there. And over we go. So the SAM is probably, yes, there it is. So we drop down to here. And we get a minor Mark III. And then we can overclock you. And then we get the power connection out. There's a power line up there that we can grab off of. There we go. So now it's all powered up. Last step is to get the belt going. So this needs to just come up here and across this way and a good ways south. So we need 1,300 reanimated SAM, and it's like 4 to 1, right? So we're probably gonna need like all the SAM on the map for this. Alright, so this continues going along, and we're trying to get down that way. We've got all sorts of bauxite mines in this area as well. And what, is that coal or something? Alright, so we just keep on going. That surface was too uneven, annoyingly. So we just keep heading down this way. And is that right? Am I lost? Okay, we need to be heading more this way. So yeah, it must be that, right? I line up, that's in approximately the right direction. Okay, so we're just going to continue bringing this belt along. And then we are going to need to get a foundation. Alright, so the foundation goes in so that we can get across this giant canyon type thing. And then we can go back onto the ordinary terrain and just make our way over to here. And almost there. Alright, just a little bit further. So this is there, and then in. And that is reanimated SAM West set up properly. Or this is just regular SAM. We haven't actually done the reanimating thing yet. We might want to do that out here because there is simply no other use for regular SAM, but I think we will end up doing it at the Ficsite factory. If the numbers were much larger than I would do otherwise, but just to compress and save space on the trains, but as it is, it's not exactly a big deal. Alright, so train station is now filling with SAM. So that is 900. And it's 4 to 1. So I need that times 4. Oh, I missed 3. So I need like 5,000 SAM in order to get this to work. That's so much. That's a huge amount. It's not like these nodes are crazy strong either. There's like normals and impures just sort of all over the place. Are we gonna have to gather like all of this, literally all the SAM on the map together? Okay, there is a pure node there, so that's good. That's something at least. And there's this pure node here, which I probably haven't fully utilized. So hopefully we can do something with that. I wonder if drones are the play here. Just because of how much of this, how many like different setups I'm gonna have to be making. Last time I used drones, I regretted it significantly. If I compress it down to the reanimated SAM, it will be better. Alright, yeah, I think we're going to have to do drones for this, which is going to suck. It's going to cause all sorts of horrible problems in all likelihood. So, I guess that means that this isn't going to be a thing. So we are going to take out all these freight platforms, clear out all the SAM we mined up in the process, and I don't like having dismantle crates, they're gross. So we get rid of all that, clear it out of the inventory, and then we find that dismantle crate and remove it. Alright, so let's swap back to Overpack. I don't know why I'm still in jetpack mode. Alright, so what we need to do is just have some constructors to turn this from reanimated SAM, from regular SAM into reanimated SAM. Alright, let's get all of these belts out of the way all at once. Then we can get rid of the splitter and the conveyor poles. Alright, so now we get constructor, and the constructor makes reanimated SAM. There's no like alt recipes for any of this, right? There's only one way of doing that. There's only one way of making it. Yeah, okay, so that is what it is. So, I don't know why I dismantled that constructor. We needed it. Alright, constructor goes in. Reanimated SAM. We need 3 of these, max overclocked, for this patch. Alright, so this all goes through like that. And I guess we can use this as just like a very fancy way of getting power here. So these all get connected up, and they drain a whole bunch of SAM. And now we just go transport drone port. And I think because of how many of these we're going to have, we're going to do the refueling at the destination side. So this is reanimated Sam West. Alright. So then that gets powered up. And these guys get merged. And then they get connected up to the belts. And then sent in. Alright, so that is that. And actually, this is where I want a storage container buffer, not the other place. So now, that's too close apparently, which means we're going to have to set that up differently. So you, storage container, go like that. You fill into there, and then loop around into the drone port. So now, any disruptions from drones, being present or not, will all be sorted out here. And okay, we actually need to get the destination set up because we need to send the drones there to start with. Okay, so where's the destination even going to be? It may as well be in this area, right? Because we're taking from aluminum, and the aluminum is right over there. So our Ficsite factory might as well just be like this general vicinity, I guess. So let's head just like over by one. So we're a little bit over here. And this is going to be the setup. Actually, hang on. I just had a thought. Why does this need to be a different... This doesn't need to drone port if it's just going to be here. So we can just have this be the destination side. Yeah, that makes more sense. It'll be the destination side with a little bit of its own production, which means that that storage container is unnecessary. And this is reanimated Sam destination. And because of how this is going to work, we're probably going to want a couple of these to spread out the load. So let's just have 3 of them. Hopefully that's good enough. And then we fill in some of this foundation here. So we have 3 drone ports, and then this is going to be the refueler. So this is the SAM refueler, and you go to rocket fuel source, and you get a drone, and you get a chunk of rocket fuel. Alright, so now we need you to all get powered, which means we're going to need another power line out here. And all of these get hooked up to it. That one was already hooked up, obviously. Alright, so this is now launching, and that will bring us our fuel back. So now we just need to attach that fuel into all of these guys. That's not quite lined up the same. I want it to be a nice straight line. Alright, so if we do that, and then we have one more. Alright, so that's reanimated SAM destination. This is reanimated SAM destination 2. And this is reanimated SAM destination 3. Alright, so that we now need to merge up, and we need more than a single belt going out. Although, technically, what, 200 of this? Okay, so this is like 200 some. That means that the rest of this doesn't... The rest of this can all be one belt, and this will be the excess more than a single belt. Alright, do we have space down here? Yeah, we do. There isn't anything. This must be just where I built blueprints or something. Alright, so we are going to go down from this level just a little bit to make a fun little logistics floor, which will then go across to here like that. And now we just go up to this. All of these have their outputs, which are going to drop down into that floor. And then down there we can merge them all up into a single belt. And I guess this one will also have itself go down to the floor below. Alright, so that is going. Now we have... Wait, did I just... I still want to have a train station in here, right? Because it's just going to be taking in the aluminum. So I don't want to redo all the work of the drone ports. So let's see if we can get the train station in over here. So if you are just something like that, then you get that, and then this goes around, and the space is a little bit sketchy before you run into the aluminum, but that is fine. And actually, again, I wonder if we just, like, yoink the aluminum from the belts. No, I think having the aluminum come from the trains will still ultimately be easier. Just easier to deal with, especially if we end up, like, rebuilding the aluminum supply or something, which it's reasonably likely that I'll have to do at this point. 3, 4, and 5. So this is Ficsite aluminum. There we go. Now we just need to connect that power pole over to there instead so that it all works. Alright, so now we need our storage containers from here. So this gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 industrial storage containers, and then we get to put the belts into them, and it would be nice if that lined up properly. Alright, so the belts go in, And then we just have to get in the floor holes past these so that this can all drop down to the lower floor, where we can start figuring out what to do with it, which this factory is actually going to be relatively simple, right? It's going to be big numbers, but we're importing aluminum, we're importing reanimated SAM. We just have like two production steps, right? So it should be relatively simple. Alright, so the last thing we need to do here is get this around. So now that we have all this stuff in, we know how much space it's going to take up. We can get the tracks in, which are going to be here and then going across that way. Then you snap into that. And you need to start sort of curving around there. And then, gosh, I forgot how much the rails just absolutely hate cooperating with the way you want them to auto-snap. Alright, so now this curves around like that. And it needs to curve a little bit more before it'll figure out what I want it to be doing. So something like that, and then in. There we go. Alright, so just for fun, let's get the aluminum train in. Aluminum train. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. And you are Ficsite aluminum. Edit timetable aluminum output 2 and Ficsite aluminum. So you can just make the trip. We're going to have to set this all to unload. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, now let's just pop over here and see what's going on with the aluminum production. I see a whole lot of blue. I see one conspicuous yellow, which is currently also blue. Alright, I mean, maybe it's fine. It looks almost fine, at least, under the current circumstances. I mean, it's obviously all just getting sunk, but that does look good. It looks promising. Alright, so now we have a train which just hops back and forth here. And is there something wrong with... Is there something wrong with the train inputs? Okay, the bauxite... Alright, that train is in here, which is now allowing that train to come through, and that is thermal propulsion rockets aluminum. Alright, so that is going to be a bit of an aluminum drain, I guess. But it should be fine if we're producing aluminum properly. So now we have the Ficsite aluminum coming just behind that. And hopefully there's going to be enough of a delay for it to refill enough to work. Well, it won't be a huge deal if it isn't, because obviously this isn't running yet. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to keep a running tally of how much reanimated SAM production I have added. So we have, what, 75, 150, 225. 225 RSAM. No, not 2,225. 225 RSAM collected. And then let's just drop down here while we're at it and just get this in. So we have you coming down, you coming down, and you coming down. Alright, so then we just have to merge all of these up in any particular way. Just something like that. So these then all connect up and go across. Alright, so now what we need is... Well, actually, we need enough room for a sink if we want that to be a thing. Yeah, okay, I think just... I want to just get the aluminum in. And, oh, speaking of which, this has some outgoing. Can we just throw this all into the incoming section? Just so that it's there, and not just completely wasted. Alright, our rocket fuel has supplied, which is nice. Our rocket fuel is supplied. We've got reanimated SAM on these belts. So, what we actually need is another floor down, but longer this time. Is 4 enough? Is 4 down enough for a sink? Let's just get bare minimum space. Pop a sink in. And no, you go through like exactly one more. Alright. So that all has to go out. We get a 5th wall down. And then this gets set up. So now you should be fine, right? Fine enough. If you don't care about an antenna sticking through, then it's okay. So, let's have this go down. And then we also need this to go all the way down and through. So that is there based on the patterns. Alright, so now this is all down onto this floor, which probably is just going to be the main and possibly only floor for this factory. So we have this down here. And then we have this down here as well. So, step 1 is to figure out the speed limiting for how much this needs to be. So, this is 225 right here. That's 225, which means that we have that minus 225 is 1108.3, which is very much not a convenient value to be dealing with, but it is. Let's see here. So if we just parentheses that, and we do 1200 minus is 91.667. Let's see here. How are we going to get the right amount of reanimated SAM through this whole thing? I wonder if it's easier to just merge them up. So if we have this divided by 2 is 660. So if we can limit some belts to 1,000 and then down to 2/3 of that, then it'll be good. So, okay, so step 1 is we need these two to merge up and then split again. Okay, but there's that belt sticking through there might be marginally in the way, but we can just go up this way for it. So we just have some space out here. So this all goes in. Then we have a 2-to-2 balancer. Actually, did I ever make a blueprint for that? 2-to-2 refinery, 2-to-3 splitter. Does this... If I just like remove the center row of this, is that easier? Or alternatively, is the 3 easier to work with as well? No, that is harder to work with. So if I have this, we have 2 inputs there and there. So they split in half. Oh, but this is designed for 2 even values, right? So that doesn't work at all. Alright, we'll just rebuild it from scratch here. It's not exactly a super complicated design. It's just bam, bam, and then a little bit of space forwards. Then we connect those in like that, and those in like that. Then this one comes out, goes up and over, and the conveyor pole gets removed because it's in an ugly spot. And then those two just branch out like that. Alright, so now we just get our input and our input. And that is reanimated Sam, split evenly into 2 belts of 666. So, now all we need to do is we just need to work this out into the belts of 666. So we need to get up to 1,000, then down to 2/3. So we start with a... Actually, wait, no, we start with a priority merger, I believe. So we have our priority merger here. So this is going to give us a belt of 1,200. So we need to get 200 off of it, which is going to be at least 2 smart splitters, right? So we go... One of these is 120, the other is 80, with the other 40 merging back up. So if we go like that, so we have 1,200 there, and that just goes forwards all the way through. Then we have 120 off, so we're at 1080. Another 120 off, so we're at 960. Then we get 80 going back, 40 going forwards, so now we're up to 1,000. And then that merges into there with priority medium. Alright, so now we're at 1,000. Now, all we need to do is get another splitter. That's facing backwards. Please face forwards. And we need to take this, actually, make that another merger. More merger space. Alright, so this belt, which is 1,000, splits into 3. And 1 of those 3 goes back to there. and the other two just go forwards. Like that. So that is our belt of 200. That is our belt of 666. And now we just get an awesome sync onto it and a smart splitter before the awesome sync. There we go. I hit E one too many times. Alright. So that is one of them. Now we just need to get the other one set up. And it needs to be just like over there. And, okay, let's get you set up. So left, any, center overflow. Left, any, center overflow. And now this, I don't know why that went up. Why did you go up? You just need to go into there. And that should be all clear, except obviously we need this to be powered. Alright, so that goes up to there, I guess. And obviously this isn't going to last for very long because we don't actually have that much going into it. But it should last long enough to confirm that it is working, hopefully. Logistics, throughput monitor, and it's showing 660. It's actually showing 660 flat and not 666, which will probably... Okay, yeah, no, it does fluctuate a little bit to reach the right value. So yes, that is a functional design. So now we just need to rebuild it. So we get that, we get that, we get a merger, a splitter, and a merger. And we get a sync over here, which we need to fill in that row first. So that sync goes in. And this needs to apparently go like this in order to work, in order to line up properly. And this needs... Alright, we gave it just the right amount of space, which is great. Alright, so then this whole main line is Mark 6. Like that. Then we get these mergers, which face that way and that way, and this splitter, which faces that way. Alright, so then that goes like you. This is going to be priority medium right. And then this is 120, 120, and then it all wraps around so that that's only 80. And then finally we have this one, which comes out to here and then back into there. Alright. Then we take that belt and bring it down into the merger. Now we call these right any center overflow, right any center overflow, and then we power this up. Okay, let's just get a power pole down here. So that's powered up. This needs to be left overflow in order to get it out. And now it's all working properly, except of course for the somewhat important detail that we don't have any reanimated SAM. Alright, so now we have our 2 belts of reanimated SAM there and there. And we are going to need to do the same thing with the aluminum. But that's going to be a bit trickier because it's 2,000 some. So I guess let's just do all of that first. Because we can actually just like get this whole thing set up and then move on to getting the SAM input. Okay, over here, that still looks mostly fine. I don't know, it's very difficult to tell whether that's because it's gradually getting worse or not. But I'm gonna hope for not. Alright, let's take those power poles out because they're just gonna be in the way. And bring this floor over to here. So we need to do some kind of clever stuff with this. So we need a 5-to-3 balancer off of the aluminum, and we need it to work with max speed belts, or at least close to it. Alright, so we go 1, 2, and 3, and why can I not click properly here? And a 4, and a little bit more space, and 5. Alright, so we have 5 input belts, which we need to evenly merge down to 3 output belts. So, how do we do that? Okay, let's just think. We need 2,666.6 repeating. Divided by 3 is 800 some. So, if we divide that by 5, it's 533. Can I do that? Because if I just speed balance all of these to 533, then that would give us the numbers that we need. Although, maybe that's not such a good idea, actually. Okay. We have 5 of these. Can I figure out... If I can figure out, like, a super compact way of doing that, then it would be fine. But 533 is a bit weird. So, 533.3. If we multiply that by 3, it's 1,600. So that would be 1,200 plus 400, or what's 780 times 2? Or 780 times 2 plus 40 is actually, that's actually pretty easy, right? So, okay, we get priority merger. We get smart splitter, smart splitter, smart splitter. And this is just to like figure out the ratios and stuff. So we get 780 plus 780 plus 40 is 1,600. Divided by 3 is the 530 that we're looking for. Now the catch is we can't just merge this up to 1,600. That's not going to work. So we need to... Okay, what if we do like that? And wait, no, because this last one needs additional work to be at 40, right? So you need to take 30 forwards, and then 20 goes back. And let's see if we can just loop that around like that. And then the other 40 is left. Alright, no. Instead of doing it like that, I think what we need is you go back to there. The other two merge up to here, and we take the rest of this out of the right side. So we get 780 plus 780 plus 40. Okay, so we have the 780 plus 780, but we need them to be split immediately into threes. So we need... Okay, this can actually be even more compact, right? Because we don't need all of these splitters. This can be one of the 780s. And you go out to here. And you are going to... No, because this 40 also needs to split into 3. So that 40 is one of them. Then we need enough space for this to come out to there. And then this one just comes out there. So, what if we... Wait, no, this all doesn't work, because this would need to be the 1600. Yeah, okay, so this is going to be too difficult to do. So let's just take all that out and then just replace the foundations that I removed. So instead of doing it that way with speed limiters, instead, what I need to do is I need to just merge these in so that they're all even. But that's really hard, right? I did that on my old aluminum factory, and it was actually super difficult. So we need to split each of these into 3, and then we need to find a way of evenly merging 5 things together. So evenly merging like 6 things together is easy. But the problem is we need to have this one of them not be used too much. So if we were to just like put two things into there, 2 things into there, and then the 5th thing into both, then it would be 6ths, and this one would be 2/6, and the rest would be 1/6. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to make it be 5ths. Now, the 1 to 5 splitter, you work by splitting it into 6 and then merging one of the 6 outputs back into the input. So if you want to do a 1 to 5 or a 5 to 1 merger, you would do that by merging it into 6ths, but then splitting one of them out. wait, no, that wouldn't work at max speed, right? So what I was thinking there is if you just do something like this, and then you just merge that up, and then you have 5 things going in, right? So you have something like this. So again, this is 5 inputs to 1 output, but it's not even, because this center one is being counted twice. So what you could do, theoretically, is you could take... So this is 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6. This one is 2/6. So if you were to take out what, like a... if you were to take out some from the end in some proportion to put it back into here, then that would work, theoretically. Okay, so rather than having that be a splitter immediately, let's actually just have it like this. And it's going to need more space. Of course it's going to need more space. All these things always need like an infinite amount of space. They always need more space than you want them to. So let's just take all this junk out. So let's say we have 6 inputs. So we go like that. 1, 2, 3. Why did you go up a level? 4, 5, 6 inputs, right? So if you take these 6 inputs and you just merge them up like this, then it'll take them all evenly, and then you just need like that. So this is a functional 6-to-1. So if we want a 5-to-1, what we need to do is split... Oh wait, if we split each of the 5s into 6, would that work? So that gets 1 to 6. That gets... No, because that would just push the problem down the road, right? Because then we would still have to put together 5 of the groups of 6, which would be no good. So we have a 6-to-1. We can just plug things in to the outer 4. And then for the inner 2, we would have... This is going to need to be further back in order to be able to wrap around properly. We have something like that. So again, this system doesn't work, but can I figure out what the numbers need to look like? So let's say that these are all Mark 1 belts going in. So we have 60, 60, 60, 60, and 60. Now if this were flowing out as fast as it was going in, we wouldn't have any problems. But that isn't the case. So we need it to be, I don't know, let's say these are Mark II belts. And let's say we're going like 5 times 60 into a 300. So if we were to do something like that, and obviously it's not that simple here, but let's just say it is. So the belt would be something like that speed, and it would buffer so that that is 300. That is 150, which means that each of these inputs would be 50, which means that this input would be 100, right? Because it's feeding 50 to there, 50 to there. Now, if this input is only 50, but we need it to be 100, then what we can do is take 50 off of the other belts, preemptively put them into this one, which would, let's see, so this would be 50 divided by 4. They would each need 12.5. So they would each need to put 12.5 into this one. So if we go back to ratios, each of these needs to put a fourth of their input into this one. Or, alternatively, we just yoink 50 off of the end and put it back into the front, which would then limit our belt speed. But I think that's fine, probably. Because, I mean, our final belt speed for this is that divided by 3, which is 800, which shouldn't be that bad. So we were taking like a sixth off, right? So 1200 divided by 6, we're losing like 200, which would still be fine. Alright, so basically we have this set up. We take a sixth off of the output, loop it back into the input, and then we're good. Which, okay, if we're doing this as a 1 to 3, as a, yeah, so let's take this out, because we're actually not merging it all up into 1, right? We are merging it all up into 3, so we might be able to do better just based off of that. So if we get a 2 to 3 splitter in at this point, now these two are going to be even, so then they output to there and to there, and then we get our 3 outputs there, there, and there. And this should be functional with max speed belts, right? So that's going to be half a max speed belt. That's going to be a full max speed belt. Then it's going to be splitting down to half there, and yes. Alright, so now we would, at the end of this, we would have our 3 belts, which we would have then, we can just yoink half off of each of them. Sir Windy, thank you for the raid. We are doing some balancing math, trying to figure out something which I have put off for a very long time. I'm trying to figure out how to merge 5 things into a single belt evenly, which is proving somewhat complicated, but we are getting there. Alright? Yeah, thanks. I am having fun with the stream. Alright, so we've got all this. Now where was I? We have this belt is putting in 2/6 when it's supposed to be putting in 1/6. Or it's supposed to be putting in like a 5th, right? So we go down to here. Each of these is third. Wait, can we? This compresses it too much, anyways, because we can't get up to the. We can't get it onto 2 belts, so we do actually have to split into 3. So we just have something like this, and then we need to split off 1/6 of it. So you split it into 2, and then you split it into another 3, and you merge those ones all up. And so this is the full 100%. Then you go half there, half to here. Then 2, 4, yes, so then most of it goes up to there, and then this loops back and doesn't go up a half a level. Please stop that. Alright, so this would then merge back up here. So we have, let's say we have 300, no, okay, yeah, so we have, let's say we have 300 total, and each of these is a belt of 60, so it's 1 to 5. So then this belt here would be, so this belt up here would be our 300. Obviously just ignore the belt speeds, we're just plotting things out right now. So this would be 300, and that would mean, wait, no, this would be 300 here, right? So then this would be 150 and 150. Then this would be 50, 50, and 50 going back. So we would have 250 output and 50 going back. So this is 50 plus the 50 which would be on it naturally. So this is 100. So then that goes to 50 and 50. Then those are all 50s. Alright, so this does work as a 1 to 5 splitter as long as you're not running into belt speed limitations, which we shouldn't be. So now we just need to make 3 of these, but more compact and with high-speed belts for our aluminum. So let's figure that out. So first these split into 3. That's the first step. These all split into 3. Then, I missed one. So once they split into 3, we then have to take those batches of 3 out to somewhere. Let's work over this way, I guess. So we have these, right, so we have then merger, followed immediately by splitter, followed by mergers with some space. Okay, so wait, the splitter goes directly into the 2 mergers. So actually if we do this, is this gonna fit? No, because we need 2 inputs to here and 3 inputs to here, which is impossible. So if we just move you out this way, then does that fit? So this can get its inputs from there, there, and there. That sends inputs there. Then this can get its inputs from there and there, although this is also getting very close to my existing stuff, so I'm probably gonna have to move it at least a little bit. Okay, so then that is all set up. Then this gets one input from there, and the other has to loop back. Alright, so the other input is just going to be going over like this. So that goes up half a step and across, and then forward. Alright, so that is in, and theoretically we might be able to make that more compact. Let's see, actually, how compact can we make this? What's like the earliest that we can go up a tick so that we can just make this whole thing relatively small? Can you go up a tick there? No. Can you go up a tick there? Yes. Alright, so that is that. Then this needs to have to take all this stuff out. And this can then line up like there. So then your inputs come from there, and there, and then obviously across from there. And then this would go the rest of the way across, like that. Alright, so that is that portion of it. Then we need to merge these ones up. Like that. That didn't click right. There and there. Alright, then we need this set up to get one chunk off of it. So we get you and you and you. And then all of this gets to be max speed belts. And then this needs to connect up to that. Alright, so that is about as compact as it's going to be. And so we just need 3 of those. And we need them lined up in such a way that it's actually useful. So let's get here. So we can fit these pretty compactly in. So the next one is going to be there. And then another sort of half tick over to there. And then a merger, which is lined up that way, right? And we have a splitter there, merger there. Then we have, like, what is this? Most of blocks, so like something like that, maybe? Because this one is further in than this one by a tick, so this needs to be further to the right by a tick. It would be easier if I just had them line up identically on their blocks, but whatever. So that then goes there. And then finally we get our last one there. So now this all goes out. You go up and across. Then all this stuff goes in. Get all of the internal belts. And then we get the output section. So we get a splitter and another splitter and a merger. Alright, so that all goes through like that, and then up to there. Alright, we should have enough room in here to get the third one in, and then hopefully we can get the inputs into them, which might be a little bit sketchy, but whatever. So this one, we want this to be... Okay, we can't actually have it lined up perfectly because it's just barely too big for that to work. So you go to there, and then you... The next one is like out there, and then we have a merger, which surely isn't immediately next to it. No, there's a little bit of space. So that, and a splitter, and a merger, and then this goes out 2 ticks and up 1, and then the merger goes in there, and that goes back. While we're connecting things back, might as well get all of those. Alright, so then we get these cross belts in. And did I forget to get that one in? No, I remembered. Good. Alright, so then we just get merger and there, there. Alright, now just the return balancer. So you go that, and that, and that. And then we put all the belts in, which is just like this. And, okay, this belt needs to go across to there before this will wrap up nicely. Alright, so now we have all of that in. We just need to get these belts across into each of them, which hopefully will be manageable. So that's one, and we can take this whole thing down. Let's just dismantle filter all of the belts, and then we can dismantle all the mergers. And we don't need all of this space, but we do need like most of it. So mergers and splitters go out. Then we dismantle filter conveyor poles and mass dismantle all of these guys. And now we just get the last couple of belts gone. Alright. So the first input has been split across successfully. Then the next one needs to sort of go up like that somehow. It sure is raining outside. That's fun. So that goes up and then down into there. Then this needs to go across to here. And then it needs to sort of go up and across that belt and then down. And then we need this one to go all the way across this way. And why is it giving conveyor belt too steep? Oh, because it was too sharp. So you go out like that and then in. Alright, the last one is actually just always going to be the easiest because nothing's in the way of it yet. Alright, so now we have this one. And you need to go first, sort of up there, across all that stuff, and then down. Then the next one, you go up here, and then you do a curve, and then up, across all of this, and then in. And then finally we get this one, which goes all the way over here. And we need more foundations in this area. There we go. Alright, now we just get you around that corner and in. Alright, now we do this. Wait, no, that's not happening yet. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I mean, it's going to do something along those lines eventually, but not quite like that. So then this one goes out to there, across all of this stuff, and then down into there. Did that go up 2 ticks? No, that's the same as all the rest of them. Good. Ooh, I landed on a belt. Somewhat surprising, but it's fine. Alright, then we get this one out, and you need to get out to like this general vicinity. And then up. Actually, let's just have you go up before any of that, just to make sure. Like that. And then across all this nonsense. And then back down. And then finally you get one last belt off you. Just gonna go around this giant corner and into that. Alright, one more, and this awesome sink doesn't need to exist. So this is the last batch. And then I'm going to need to figure out why this isn't actually outputting anything. It might just be because, yeah, because that gap in there. Alright. So now we get you out to this row here. And you go all the way across as far as you can go. And then down and in. Alright, just 2 more belts to go. This one goes out to here-ish. And then up. And all the way across. And in. Alright, one last belt, which doesn't have to go up and down. Just run you all the way around this way. So you come around to here. Pretty sure that's the line. It has to be a little bit longer. There we go. Alright. So that should work. And now, if we just connect all of this up, we should get, what, like 3,000 max capacity into this? Or something along those lines. And we only need 2,600 some. Alright, so now we have our 3 belts of 1,000, which the next step is we need to actually, if we just get like, if we just, let's see here, we have 3 belts of 1,000. We need to get to 2,666. So 2,666.6 divided by 2 is 1333. Divided by 2 is 666.6. So if we limit, let's see, so we need to get 4 belts of 600 some. We have 3 belts of 1,000. So if we limit each of these belts of 1,000 down to 666, obviously past this point, then that would give us 3/4 of what we need. Then we would need to take the excess from 2 of them, merge them together, and that would be that. And if we were to take the excess from all 3 and merge it together, that would give us the extra 300, which we don't want. But it might help to pare it down nicely. I don't know. So let's just go over here and make a blueprint of this, just because I'm going to use it like a couple of times. And so we get some space. Get some space to put a blueprint machine on. And this is priority merger, 2 smart splitters, smart splitter 1, and smart splitter 2, and I'm going to need to get power over here because blueprint machines have an uncanny ability to not have power work properly around them for hover packs. Alright, so now that should be plenty of power. So then we have a merger, a splitter, and a merger. Merger, splitter, merger. So then we have our second row, which is merger, merger, splitter. Alright, now we need to get all of the belts in. The main line belt is mark 6. What did that do? That did something weird. Alright, so the main line belt is all mark 6. Like that. And this is also mark 6. So we have 1,200. We take out 120 plus 80. So that all merges up like that, and then we need that to be nice and fast to be 200. Alright, so we have 1,200 here. Then we have effectively 1,000 here. We then split off a third and merge up the other 2/3. So this comes around this way into there. And this goes up that way, as does that, which I already connected. All right, now get the machine settings. That's priority medium left. This is left any center overflow. That one is also left any center overflow. And let's just have the input belt be a Mark 6 and the output belt be a Mark 6 just to signal those things. And that should be good. So this is a 666.666 speed limiter. Save and clear. Alright, we're just going to leave that blueprint machine there just in case we want it later. So for now, we go over to here, and you all get smart splitters, first of all. And then you get your conveyor belts, which just go along like that. Then we get one of you in each. And let's make sure that we have enough foundations for all of this, because I really do not like it when machines are floating not on foundations. Alright, so we have got that one. Then we need to just get another one lined up. So that's lined up that way, then we just gotta line it up that way, and in it goes. And then we just need to do the same thing again. How is this lined up? Like that. And then out to like that. Alright. So that is 3 of our 666s. Then we just need one more, which we will put out this way, I guess. So this one, we're going to line it up just the same, give it a little bit of space, and pop it in. So now these ones are left overflow center any. So we paste all the way across. And now we get a merger into here, I guess. Alright, so then that would connect up to there. These would all connect forwards. Like that. And then we need to get all of these belts out over that way. So you go up there. You go up there. So now these two can run side by side up in the air. And then they just make their way over. And actually you need to sort of curve out that way a little bit. And then you go to there. You go to there. And you need to stay up longer than that. So you need to stay up until you're like there, at which point you can drop down. And now that is having problems because it's too close. So let's just bring it out a little bit, and then it's in curve mode, so then it just goes back in. Alright. So this should be all perfect, probably. Hopefully. So now we just need to test this by getting sinks in so that we can see if the speed is what it should be, and also if it's drawing evenly from the inputs. And both of those should be the case, but you gotta test these things just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, and 4 sinks. Then we get our splitters, so that if this does work, then we can just get these splitters set up properly and be all good. So then these just go forwards into the sinks, and then we just need to get the sinks powered up. Alright, so then we get a power pole, which is going to connect to all of these sinks. And then it's going to go across to there. Alright, now we get into logistics and conveyor throughput monitors. And we just pop these on. And they should be 660 point whatever. And then what we also need to do is, we have a good point to put monitors on? No. So we're just going to have to put them on all the groups of 3. And all of these monitors should all display identical values. And some of them are going to be a little hard to see, but it's fine. Okay, you are showing 0. Why? Are you not connected up properly? Yes, this never got attached. And so we're going to have to let that resolve itself. So that's 666, that's 666, that is, and that is. Alright, so in terms of getting the output we expect, we are seemingly all good. And in terms of getting the inputs balanced, 170, 170, 190, 170, 170, 190, 70, 70, 90, 70, 70, 90, 70, 70, 90. So I think what's happening is that this is the one. Yeah, so this one is still lower than it ought to be, but is balancing out. So once that gets incorporated into the throughput calculations, it should be all even, and we should be clear. Alright, so that is pretty cool. So we have the aluminum going in at the appropriate rates, and yeah, these values are now all identical. So we have our aluminum divided it up into our batches of 600 some. We have our reanimated SAM speculatively attached up into the batches of 600 some. So now all we need to do is just go to all the various places on the planet and get more reanimated SAM and send them into these drone ports, which these drone ports should be able to manage the fueling, and hopefully the fact that we're going to be compressing it down to reanimated SAM means that the throughput won't be that high. We've got 3 of these, right? So if we need less than 1200 total, each of these only needs to manage like 400 per minute in total, which should be manageable in theory. Okay, so let's start running around and finding some SAM deposits and throwing them in. So the closest one to where we are right now is a little bit east and a long way south. So we should be able to get most of the way there, if not all the way there, just by running along our train tracks. And we can actually just hop on this car. So this is going to just keep us going. And yeah, that's an interesting physics thing. So when you run into something in front of you and you bump into it, it sets your like absolute velocity to 0 when it really should set your relative velocity to 0, which doesn't really matter, but is interesting nonetheless. Alright, so we just need to run all the rest of the way down. And how far away is it? Pretty far. It's not the world's closest sand deposit. Although actually it is the world's closest sand deposit because of how few of them there are. So we run along this way. And is it going to be like right by my Christmas factory that I never dismantled? Probably is. Just down there somewhere. Okay, that factory card is on the Christmas factory, so it's going to be a ways past it, actually. Alright, that's fair enough. So we're just going to have to go over there. I wonder how the Christmas factory is doing. Like, does it still work when it's not been Christmas for months? Alright, we're going to drop down. Swap to jetpack fuel so that we can definitely catch ourselves even if we land in a dead zone. And there we go. Jetpack and landed. So now back. Actually, no, we should stay on jetpack mode for this because we are trying to move quickly after all. Alright, so now we're up here and alright, the holiday spirit seems to be dead. No presents to be seen. Just a random snowman. This place is weird now that none of that stuff works. I should probably take it out. There are probably summer sloops in here, actually. Yeah, can I check that? Like, are any of you guys slooped? No. How about these guys right at the very end? Like the fireworks or something. No, the fireworks don't seem to be. Alright, I guess we're probably fine then. Oh, what about these guys? Are these guys eating a bunch of sloops? No. I could have sworn there was like a bunch of summer sloops just eaten up by the Christmas event that I just never bothered to take out. But I can't find them, so maybe not. Alright, we're going to move on anyways. So we need to get down just a little bit further this way. Oh, this is the one under the arch. Right. I remember that one. Alright, we're going to need to grab some power with us, because I don't think we have power down there. Alright, so let's get a power tower. Just for minimum inconvenience. So that just goes over there. And at this point, ziplining is going to be faster. Alright, now we just need... Wait. There is signs of past activity here, but not on the SAM, obviously. I think I probably came down here for like a summer sloop or something. Alright, power line, power tower in. Now we go. Miner Mark 3. Connect it up to the power. and max overclock, so that is 600 a minute. So then this gets a belt going up, and the belt needs to keep going up. We need to get out, like, with the sky above us. So let's do something like that, and we should be in a good spot here. So then that goes the rest of the way up. Alright, now we are up here, and we just need to set up a nice little platform for getting the SAM compressed and reanimated, and for then drone porting it out, which should not require much space. So this is 600 reanimated SAM. I believe that is just 2 constructors. And I can do this in hoverpack mode. Alright, constructor 1, constructor 2, splitter, and in. Reanimated SAM. I should have put the settings in first. So that is 300 each, which means I was correct. 2 constructors will handle all of this. And then the 2 constructors get powered up. And then we get a storage container, just in case that helps somehow. So these then output into the storage container, and then finally drone port. Alright, so that just goes into there, and we get it powered, and this is Arch SAM. And so you get a chunk of rocket fuel, and you get to go to Reanimated SAM Destination 1. There you go. Now you get a drone, and the drone has consumed some of that fuel, and the main fueling is at the other side, so we don't need to worry about any of that stuff. This is just set up and good to go. I hope we don't run out of rocket fuel. That would be embarrassing. I doubt it'll happen, but who knows. So then we go a bit to the east, and we've got 2 impure nodes. So we're just gonna move off, switch back to jetpack, and grab more more ionized fuel. Which I should really do while I was trying to do something cool and do it in midair, but seems like a bad idea. Don't quite have enough height for it. Alright, another stack of ionized fuel grabbed. Probably going to cause a bit of chaos at the ionized fuel production plant whenever something like that happens. Alright, so this is just the edge of the map. We need to turn north a little bit to get to the next SAM. Alright, so up we go. And we just keep going. Alright, so the SAM is right in front of us. It's probably going to be like in a cave or something. Somewhere hard to find. But maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get lucky and it's just right up here. Yeah, here we go. Alright, is there... Hey, look, a giant power plant. That's convenient. Alright, let's grab a power line. We can do that from over here. That one's probably filled already. Alright, so we're going to have to place a new power line right next to it. Connect the 2 up. And then this can bring power up to this area. There we go. So that is power. Then we just need a miner Mark III. And we connect the miner Mark III up to the power. Oh wait, I need to add on. So we got an extra 150 reanimated SAM there. Gotta keep notes of how much progress we're making. So this is another 300. And there's another one just like down that way, which... Let's just bring that one up to here, because this is a relatively convenient spot to put the drone setup. So if we just sort of make a foundation like that, then we get 2 constructors, and they get a splitter and a merger. So then this all goes in as normal. The constructors are reanimated SAM at max speed. The power goes in. Boom, boom. And then this can snap into there, and then we're just going to have to get the other one into this merger as well. But before that, let's just get the rest of this set up. Storage container, merger, and then we get our drone port. So we need a little bit more space for this, it seems. So let's just grab that space. Now we get drone port in. And it gets set up like that. So this is Blue Crater SAM. Blue Crater SAM. And you have a stack of rocket fuel. And you are going to go to SAM Destination 2. Just keep those balanced out. Then you get powered up and droned in. So now we can add plus 75. And then we just need to go down this way to find the other... Actually, let's just bring... If we just bring this belt along from here, just yoink that, bring it along to there, and then... Why is it like this? Just down. Okay, that needs to be angled differently. So you are angled like that so that you can drop down a bit. And then we just need to bring this belt around to the other SAM location and then connect it up, and that will be that. Doing it this way, we won't even need to return to that to get like the belt drawn back and stuff. The downside is that I might wind up on a bit of a goose chase finding this SAM, and then the belt will be all weird. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Alright, so that is barely able to ramp down to there, which is good. And now we are... Okay, now I should probably just stop dragging the belt and confirm that I know where it is, but it's probably just under this overhang or something, right? Probably. No, it doesn't look like it. Alright, yeah, we're gonna pop the belt to there, And it should be right over this way. It isn't here, so it's probably down underneath this ledge. Alright, where are you? And how do I get to you? It is over this way, but there's no guarantee that that's where the entrance to it is. We've got all sorts of poison pillars and such in here. Sam can be so hard to find when it's not cooperating. Alright. How about... So if it's not directly in this wall area, then, I mean, there's got to be an entrance somewhere, obviously. So we just need to find out where that is. And it's ought to be somewhere in the vicinity, unless it's like a cave. Okay, that is a rock in the side of a wall. That might be a cave entrance. I missed. It also might just be like a summer sleep or something. Okay, cave entrance confirmed. So now we can drop down to here. And let's see here. Let's see if we can A, find it, and B, find our way out once we have. Alright, this is a confusing cave full of dead ends. And spooky, spooky spiders who don't bother me because passive mode is the best mode. Why is it always the impure nodes? They're just like the absolute hardest to find. Alright, we've somehow wound up off the edge of the map. So that's definitely not where we want to be. We want to be up this way somehow. But, okay, maybe if we go up here. So this was the entrance, right? And we had the option of like going that way or this way. If we go this way, how am I in the cave with the thing and I just have not the slightest idea where it is? I'm not even 100% sure that this is the right cave. I mean, it feels like it should be. Feels like it should be the right cave, but I'm not seeing it. I've probably just gotten turned around and I've probably just checked the same direction multiple times and not checked the other direction somehow. Alright, no, I feel like this was the other direction and this just leads to off the edge of the map. Okay, now if they were really mean, they would have like the cave re-enter further down or something. Or maybe further up. This looks like a cave entrance. Alright, is this the cave entrance that I'm looking for? No. That's just a random red herring. Alright. Cool. You'll love to see it. Alright, this looks like a cave entrance though, and it looks like a pretty spacious one. Alright, what is going on? Alright, the Sam is literally like an inch away from me through that wall, but there doesn't seem to be a way of getting there from here, because of course there isn't. This is an impure Sam node. Of course it's got to be extremely difficult. Maybe it's all the way down here. There are poison pillars down here. Okay, that is promising. That looks like the sort of hidden entrance we're looking for. So let's blast a hole into that. and then run in and around through all of this. Alright, Sam spotted. Thank goodness. Alright, so let's get this set up, and then we're gonna have to figure out if there's like a better way of getting out of here. Because the way I came was kind of indirect. So that is 300 SAM per minute. And we need a power pole and a belt. So does this go up to anything? Let's see, there's some power slugs, I guess. Is this whole chamber just empty except for the SAM? Are there any exits in the walls around here? Be real cool if there were, but I'm not seeing any. I'm not even seeing like summer soups or anything. Oh wait, no, this looks like something. Where does this lead? Is this just, this might just be where I came from. Yeah, no, that's just where I came from. So we go in here, and there's nothing up there, or... Alright, yeah, no, we're just going to leave the way we came. That's fine. There's probably some incredible secret in here that I'm not going to ever see, but whatever. It might just be the SAM. So we need to bring a belt and a power pole out of this so that we can not have to find our way through this mess again. So the belt and the power pole come out this way, and the power pole can just go through that wall. The belt is just gonna go around, and then the belt goes around like that, and up to there. Power pole making its way out. Alright. So now we have sky above us. And I think if we just like go up, there's normal stuff up here. Like we can go up to this level, which probably there's got to be some way of getting like from here up to there, but I don't know. That cave is weird. So we're gonna take this further out so that we're definitely not gonna run into anything, and then we are gonna start just sending you up sky high. There you are. Then we grab the power pole, bring it up to here, and we just keep going on up. Eventually we'll run into something that we can connect a power line to, and then we'll only have to do one of these two steps. We are going to have to run the belt a whole giant way, but it saves us the effort of setting up all of the crafting and drone stuff a second time through. Alright, here we are. Signs of civilization up here. This power line gets connected to that power line. It didn't select properly the first time. Alright, power line's connected. Now we just need to get... I see the belt over there, actually. So we just have to get this belt over to there, and then we can just connect it up, and that'll be that. Alright, so this is here, and now it slopes down to there, And we've got reanimated Sam going through. Or just regular Sam, but it'll be reanimated soon. Alright, so that is that. And let's just write that down real quick. Plus 75. Alright. I can just ride this belt all the way back, I guess. That's convenient. Alright. And now we're back up here. And this should be all set up now. Now, did I make this belt? That's a Mark II belt, but it needs to be at least Mark III. And those are Mark II belts, so we're good. And then that is what it is. Alright. So this is all set up. And that is that. So I think let's just finish our math over here, because we left that undone. So this is 225 plus 75 is 300, plus 150 is 450. So this is 525 reanimated Sam collected. So we're half-ish of the way there. So we just need a little bit more. And then we will be finishing off our Ficsite Trigon factory. So I will be streaming Satisfactory again on Thursday. I will be also streaming Factorio tomorrow. So if you're interested in some Factorio Space Age stuff, I do that as well. So I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to follow if you haven't already, so you know when I'm live. And that's about it. Thanks, Ev, for hanging out. I had a lot of fun, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.